All right, guys. Hey, welcome back. We got another episode today, episode number 42. Greg Ence is in the studio. Greg, I don't know where I met you. Let's go back there. I don't know. You're a real estate agent.
Yeah.
We've been to the program together.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know where we met. I mean, I know your younger sister.
Yep.
I know your brother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we meet?
I think it was social media.
Oh,
Through social media,
yeah.
and then somehow through the
that's
masterminds
probably
I
right.
used to do.
All right, so this is one thing about Greg on social media. He is the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He shares your stuff. He comments on everything. So if you want a really, really good person for your algorithm or the algorithm on your posts, make sure that you're friends with Greg.
Yeah, I don't have enough time to do it for everyone, but for sure for people I like, I do.
I appreciate
and people
it.
I believe in, right? That's a big thing. I've come too far in my life to care about everyone else. You know what I mean? Like helping everyone because I can't. You know,
Yeah.
the people pleasing me wants to, but I just can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're Greg 2.0 now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we kind of want to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
I think addiction is something that in everybody's life, somebody has some kind of addiction,
Mm-hmm.
some form of addiction, right? And with you and your struggle with drugs and drinking, just addiction, and we'll just lump it into that.
Mm-hmm.
We want to hear more about that today and your journey and what you learned. Guys, I think this is going to be a cool episode because knowing Greg, he's a humble guy. He's a positive guy. He's a really, really good guy. And so I think you're going to get a take from this episode that I think you'll really enjoy. So let's jump into it.
Okay.
If you can think of your earliest memory of like just childhood, where did it start? Why do you think it started? How did you get into it? How did you get out? Just kind of take us through your story and let's jam on that for a little bit.
Okay. So throughout high school, I used drugs. Well, it was mainly marijuana, and I drank and things like that, but nothing that I was hooked to. You know, I just did it to fit in. You know, it was fun to hang out with my friends and drink and all of that. So I kind of just did that. And then it kind of gradually, I went on a mission, LDS mission, 2 years, great 2 years, but then came back and got into pain pills. And the reason I got into pain pills and what I loved about pain pills at the time was I was in phone sales, and I would literally sit down, take a couple of pain pills, and had all the energy in the world. So I'd just sit there and I'd work, and then I'd go to college and chase girls. I wasn't sloppy drunk. I was spot on, no fear, right? So I was doing that until OxyContin came around. And to kind of break down what OxyContin, my addiction with OxyContin, kind of what it looks like, I'm a very visual person. So imagine yourself in a deep, dark hole in the ground, right? And you're there, you wake up there, you don't know how you got there. So being there, it's cold, it's lonely. You look up and it's dark. There's no light, all of that. You don't know how far down you are. You don't know how to get up to the top. You don't even know if there's a way. And you know, that sums up a lot of my addiction, a lot of my life, 15 years.
Wow.
And
on Oxy
mainly, and then it was heroin and meth at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that hopeless, the lonely, I should just take too much and go to sleep and not wake up. It'll be easier, is the feelings I felt all the time. And I would continue to use because I didn't want to feel. I had a lot of shame and a lot of guilt and stuff growing up LDS. And none of this is to bash on church or anything like that. But growing up.
No. Yeah. And I think it's okay and healthy in this space to be able to there's no intention to bash.
Yeah.
Let's call out culture all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that on my podcast all the time.
Yeah.
I have nothing wrong with the people. I have nothing wrong. I grew up the same way, LDS. But to me, there's a difference between God and LDS culture and LDS. Like that's not the point. So absolutely call it out. What was it in the church that made you feel?
So for me, I was in essence forced to go to church, right?
Okay.
I'd rather just stayed home. I didn't have belief in the church, any of that, until I pretty much went on my mission. So I was forced, and then I was told, like, you can't do this, you can't say this, you always have to act, your best, dress your best, you can't show emotion. There's this bar that was set so high, and I'm not blaming my parents for it, but there's a bar that was set so high that I will never, ever achieve. It's perfection, and there's no way of ever achieving that. So because of that, I would start moving away. I'll show you, Mom. I'll show you, Dad. I'll take this.
She's just swung.
I'll go so far this way because I can. And watch
Which I think is interesting because in life, it's like, well, I'm not going to let you influence me. And then we swing all the way over and we go, see, you didn't influence me. Yeah. It's like, no, you totally did. Yeah. Like, you just influenced me the other way. And you got to think about that in life and every decision you make. Like, when are you really in the middle? Right. Mm-hmm. So I think that's interesting. I don't mean to cut you off more than that. I just thought about that so much with this specific thing. When you're being raised with parents or just anything in life with your friends, like the clothes that I wore today, is that influence on how I want to look on camera? Mm-hmm. Like, and then it's like, well, I don't care what people are going to think. So I'm just going to go to the DI and buy clothes. And it's like, well, they influenced me to go all the way the other way. Mm-hmm. So it shows up everywhere. Mm-hmm. Let's get back to it. That was a little tangent, but like your parents, you felt like, I'll show you, you swung the other way.
Yeah, so I knew the line, right? Here's where they wanted me. I stayed as far over here as I could, right? As far as I could. I didn't expect to get hooked to anything because I would smoke weed, I would drink, I chewed all through high school. None of that, I was never hooked, right? I could just stop. But then later on, even with the pain pills, even with Lortabs, same thing. I just would take them and I wasn't reliant on them, on them. But then OxyContin came around and it was something that had me, just literally had me. And imagine waking up each day and just knowing that you have to do everything in your power, whether it's lie, cheat, steal, rob, whatever you got to do to make sure and get your fix. Because as you get deeper in addiction, you lose everything for the most part. You can't hold a job, you lose friends, you lose family. So you're going to do whatever it takes to get that fix. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened to me for many years, and I'd do whatever it took to make sure I got my fix for the day to keep me going well.
I look at life a lot as like, that was your experience. Mm-hmm. I try not to look at anything anymore as, like I was taught, just by society as a kid, as good and bad. Mm-hmm. I like to say, does it serve you? Does it not serve you? Take out good and bad. And then like, that was just his experience. Mm-hmm. So during that experience, what would you change anything? I think that's an interesting question.
I wouldn't. No, I felt I was a failure. I was the problem. I was all those unworthy, all those things. And that held me back. And truly, when I got to a point, and we'll talk about that, where I was able to know that I wasn't, and I made mistakes, and I did a lot of bad stuff, right? But people do bad stuff all the time, and you can recover from it. But you have to recognize that, hey, I have a problem, whatever it is, and who can help me? Who can I talk to? Because a lot of times with addiction, especially, you can't do it on your own. You got to be able to reach out, talk to other people, a therapist, whatever it is, because on your own, man, you're stuck in your thoughts and your misery.
You're just negotiating with yourself every
day.
And you're going to lose yourself.
That's it. I'm not strong enough. I failed over and over and over. I would go a week, and then I was 2 weeks, and then I'd go back to using, right? The longest I went was 18 months in a 15-year period of time. And the only reason that is because I was in drug court, a program where I got P-test 5 times a week. So I knew if I did use, I was going to jail. I did that program to reduce all of my felonies down to misdemeanors. As soon as that program was over, 3 days later, I started using again. And then fast forward all the way, that was 2011, all the way to 2017, to where I got clean for the last, let's say for the last time. The thing with the addiction, it's like, it's cunning, it's baffling, and powerful. It's always waiting. It knows me better than I know myself. And it's constantly waiting to get me and to take me back. And it knows when I'm at my lowest, it knows my weaknesses. And so there's no cure for addiction. I mean, there's daily cures that I can do to help myself, right? Like wake up, go to the gym, meditate, all these things that help me. But there's no cure. There's no pill I can take, nothing that gets away of addiction. It's going to be there forever. Yeah. It's always going to be there.
Yeah. Interesting. When I was, when I went to a therapist for pornography just because I wanted to be able to get on top of it. Now, I was a user that was like once a month, but I hated it. And I felt similar. it knows you. It knows when you're, and it was just like once a month, I would just like something would happen. And I don't know if I would like bring it into my life or if just once a month, like things just got really stressful or if it hormones or chemicals or whatever that would just, it was my period once a month. I don't know. And I just got that way. But, one of the things that I, learned when I was going through that is one, that what you resist will continue to persist.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the brain, when you're going through a low time, your brain wants a dopamine hit or some kind of hit. Mm-hmm. And drugs do that.
Oh yeah.
Quick. And so the brain doesn't really know the difference. It doesn't speak English necessarily. It just knows these chemicals and it knows where to get them. Mm-hmm. And so when you have, like for my instance, like pornography gives you a huge dopamine hit more than anything else that you can really do. It's just not healthy. It's too much. And it's not good for you.
Yeah.
And I would say it doesn't serve you. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I would say it doesn't serve men. Mm-hmm. So when you're in those moments, your brain goes, where was the last time that I got that? Oh yeah. It was from that guy. I went and got that pill and I could go do that. And then you start resisting. Mm-hmm. No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. It's bad. I can't do that. But now you're thinking about it and so you're bringing it closer, right? Mm-hmm. Then you go do it and then you get that hit and then you feel all the shame and the guilt and the I'm a failure and I'd be better off dead or whatever, mm-hmm. right? Pornography does a similar thing. So it's just, I think when you're in it, you feel like you're in a different world if you're deep in it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I've never experienced what you've experienced. So I don't know. I don't know what that's like. The other thing I'll say is I don't try and look at pornography as bad or good. I just think it doesn't serve people. Mm-hmm. So the second I say it's bad, now if I ever have feelings like I want to go towards pornography, then it's like resist, mm-hmm. resist, mm-hmm. resist. But that which you resist will continue to persist.
Yeah, well.
And I don't want to do that. So instead what I've learned, and this is crazy, and maybe you can comment on this. I would like you to comment on this and tell me your thoughts. So this is my point that I'm getting to. Okay. The thing that helped me the most through that time was to be able to actually invite it in, almost be okay with it happening. Okay. Which seems so foreign to me. I don't know how else to describe it. It was like, no, I've been resisting. That's why I don't want this. Why would I just be like, okay, if it happens, it happens? Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem right at all. But it was like this letting go. And we can say like letting go to a higher power. I think people say that. I truly believe in God, that there's a God, mm-hmm. absolutely, that cares about us and wants us to be able to experience life in the best way. But it's like this trust that I'm going to be okay. I'm going to trust in him. But if it happens, it happens, and I'm going to keep going. Mm-hmm. The second I was able to like do that and get that concept, it no longer had power over me. I no longer felt like it was like in the background, like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Oh, here, it's once a month. Like once it was like, if I ever got past 1 month, it was like, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months without it, I'd be like, oh, and I would just think about it more and more. And it would just be like, oh, I can't. And then my internal clock started over mm-hmm. of the last time. Right. Mm-hmm. And once I was just like, I don't freaking care. I'm not keeping track. I don't care. I'm living life.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing life. My wife knew every time. I was always honest with everybody. And it wasn't like it was literally, well, I do think pornography is a big deal, mm-hmm. that you should talk about it. But I think we have to have healthy conversations about it. Anyway, you get my point.
Yeah.
I get on these tangents because I'm passionate about it. What's your take on it? When you went through it, I'm curious to know if you felt similar. Like, what was it that pulled you out? It sounds like when you got on Oxy or you were on Oxy, but then you got into meth and heroin. Was that it? That it was just a deeper low, like a deeper, darker place? Or what was it that helped you get out?
So what took me to heroin and meth is eventually I moved to California doing solar cells, and I didn't have the connections nor the money. So heroin was cheaper. And then I moved back here and I started dealing. I had literally the cartel coming up to me and bringing me stuff up from Vegas, and I was dealing it. I dealt it because it paid for my habit, right?
Sure.
So heroin to keep me feeling well, so I felt okay, not sick, like a flu-like sick, whatever it is, right? And the meth kept me up at night so I could go down to Vegas. So it was a gradual thing to that. For me,
then did you feel like it was never enough?
I never, once you're always chasing that dragon, right? Always chasing that one hit that when when I first took pills, I didn't like it initially, but eventually that high, that not having to feel, not having to care was great, man. I love getting high. You know, that's one thing I can, you love pornography. I love pornography. I love getting high, right? But the thing is, I know that me getting high, where that's going to take me. Yeah. And the bottom that I've been so far, my rock bottom is so far down there that if I start again, it's going to be even worse. And I probably won't make it. I'm fortunate right now to be alive. Yeah. You know, a lot of my friends are dead. A lot of people I know are dead. And so you asked about what took me out of it. It was for the last year that I was using, I felt like something bad was going to happen to me. Not like I was going to get robbed or go to jail or someone was going to kill me. My health was going. I was smoking heroin off tinfoil, and you know, that's not good, right? Now, drugs aren't good, but smoking off tinfoil is not good. And walking from up and down, let's just say your street, I would literally probably almost die. It was that bad. And
why? I'm not familiar enough with drugs to know why.
Well, when you're talking, have you been around a person that smokes 2 packs of cigarettes a day? You know, and heard out raspy and it's hard for them to breathe.
You're just talking about breathing.
It messes up. Oh yeah. It messes up your lungs. My health was gone. I just knew eventually something bad was happening. And my parents helped me get Obamacare back in 2017 so that I could use that to go to detox. I didn't use it right then. I waited and I got arrested in Mesquite, went to Vegas. Long story short, I got out and I had to make a decision, you know, what am I going to do? You know, and I was tired for the full year. I was tired. I break down to my dad, my mom, you know, I want to end, I want to end this, right? I want to move on, but I just wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't have I knew what it took, right? I've been clean before and it's hard. It really is because you're sick, your mind's sick, everything's sick. You don't feel well and you want to fix that for a minute, whatever it is. You don't want to have to feel that. You don't want to have to deal with your demons and all these things feelings and emotions I've stuffed on my shoulders for years. I don't have to deal with any of that. I just wanted to get high and just relax. Well, not really relax, but in essence, just kind of chill.
Not feel. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's kind of similar for me when I think back, it was things would get so stressful. That was the release.
Yeah.
It wasn't about, and Corinne and I have been through counseling together and we've had so many good conversations around this. And she and I have such a much more healthy relationship around all of that because now we don't have to fear it. We don't have to fight it. Like it's the thing that you're taught when you're a kid growing up in Utah is that if that's in your marriage, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, see ya. Like it's game over. And they're like, the thing is there's like so many levels of that specific thing. And I think the deeper levels come from just not being open about it.
Yeah.
Like if you hide it.
Yeah. You're
hiding
those secrets. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll kill you.
Yeah. You can't, cause you're negotiating with yourself and call it the devil. That's cool. I mean, we can call it that. I think there is a devil. I think there's somebody opposing. There's opposite to everything. So there has to be a pull that way. Right. But the thing that I don't like is when people say that, oh, the devil made me do it, kind of a thought. It's like you're choosing the experience that you're having, though. You're choosing it. And the second that you can realize that you're attracting whatever it is into your life and you take control back. Now, even if you did have a relapse, I did, you did, whatever, it's like, I chose that.
Yeah.
I'm not lost. I'm not broken. I'm not a victim of something that's controlling me. I'm in control and I chose it. And then when I think that helped me a lot too, is realizing that I really am in control because for a long time I didn't think I was.
Yeah.
I thought I had to live all the rules perfectly, the church rules.
Yeah.
And if I did that, then I would earn the ability to stay away from it.
Oh my gosh.
Does that relate at all to you or did you grow up different?
No. Yeah. That if I did, my mom would always say, you know, just stop taking that pill, just come back to church, you know, and it's all going to be okay. But it wasn't that easy. You know, nothing that was that easy. And you were talking about Nick Alfano, you know, obviously Nick, one of our mentors. Yeah. He says the strongest person in the room is the one that has nothing to lose, nothing to hide. Thank you. Yeah. because it's all out on the open, man. It's all out there.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. And that's what it is this secret.
Yeah, that's drugs, it's alcohol, it's pornography, it's all of it.
Anything, yeah.
You don't want people to know.
No,
I talk about it on here all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is not hard for me.
No.
It used to be, because you feel like we're talking about, like there's something inside of us, like, I don't want people to know. Now I look at them like, I don't freaking care about it.
Yeah. Well,
it's
people,
not that big of a deal.
The thing is, everyone has a lot of people have pornography problems, right? And yeah, I don't care if someone doesn't like me because I've watched porn, whatever it is, right? I'm me. And if someone has a problem with the things that I do, that's fine, right? I'm not going to go out of my way and be disrespectful to someone, right? And break the law and do all that stuff, but I'm just going to be me. And the more you can get it out there, just like you're saying, whatever it is that you're going through, and get it out, you're the one that's growing, and that's all that matters, right? For you or for me, I'm the number one person that I have to worry about. Obviously my family, but if I'm not right, how can I take care of them?
Can't pour from an empty cup.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm curious to know the answer to this question. We talked about parents and how we're processing information, the frame that we see life through. Mm-hmm. And there was some guilt and shame there. How has your relationship been with your parents now? Like, how has that shifted? Has it changed? Has it gotten better? What does that look like?
So it's really good. There was a time where my dad hated me, literally hated me. He came to drug court. We had to bring a parent, and he couldn't look at me and say that he loved me. And it's going to get emotional thinking about it, but it's the things that I did. I stole money from him. We have the same name, right? It was easy, right? I wrote checks, all these things. Oh, yeah. So my relationship was, I'll say, gone. They allowed me to still live in their house, but it was terrible, right? And they just want me to be happy in the end, right? So for me right now, it's really good with my parents, being able to talk to them. I'm a father, right? So I have a son now, which I never had before. I have my own house, which I hadn't really ever had, never bought a house before. So I have my own stuff, and I'm not living in my parents' house. I was literally living at my parents' house off and on until I was 37. I mean, I moved a few places, but my addiction kept me there because I couldn't rely on, having a job or whatever it was. I relied on my mom and dad. And so it's taken a lot of years. It really has. And it's looking really good right now. Right now I try to spend as much time as I can with my dad, as my hero. And growing up, going fishing, hunting with him, and my grandpa was the best. And I 15 years, man, of me being checked out and them not wanting to really be around me. I wouldn't have wanted to be around me as well. I'm trying to, in essence, I don't want to say make up for time, but I'm trying to spend as much time as I can with my family, with my parents and my girlfriend, her kids, and just my close friends, because in the end, family is everything to me. Yeah. And I'm going to make sure that I do my part in being myself and really working on myself, because I'm not fixed. I have so much to grow and so much to learn, and I'm constantly, trying to work on myself and putting on a good frequency, my frequency, right?
Like that.
If we talk about like my superpowers or my uniqueness, I've been listening to people talk about what makes you unique. I'm able to connect really well with people. I'm a leader, natural leader. I'm very good at communicating. I have a huge heart. So those are all things that I know about myself, and I know that God put me on the earth to be a light and a beacon. Mm-hmm. I wasn't put on the earth to be a loser. So unfortunately for me, fortunately for me, I went through what I went through so far in life, all the addiction, all the pain, the anger, the shame, I would just want to die, to get me to where I am right now, to build me up so that I can talk to if you're my old self, I can talk to you and say, look, dude, I got you, man. You got this. Stand up. You're going to fall down. Stand up and keep standing up. Yeah. So that's really why I'm here, man. Just in life, I found my true purpose, to be a father, to be a role model, an example. But how do I do that? By taking care of myself. And I'm a huge believer in God, even all the way through it, besides one part when I was just hooked on meth and I really felt like the devil. Other than that, I've always been so close with God.
That is beautiful, actually, all of that. There's this thought, and I've shared it a couple times. Think of a circle, and in that circle, like we talk about circles being whole and complete, right? Like a circle represents eternity. A circle represents being whole or complete. Well, the Chinese, the yin and the yang, the white and the black, right? It fills up that entire space. Well, we would say that space is perfect, right? Because it's a circle.
Yep.
But how often do we just want to fill that yin and yang up with just the white and not experience the dark?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
We run from it. But again, it's that which we resist will continue to persist.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing and the beautiful thing about what you just said that I love is what I heard. I experienced something. I experienced what something was. So I also know what it isn't. I've experienced both. So if we all had circles that we wore on our chest of like our experiences in life, Greg Ence is more whole and more complete because of the experiences. And I'm not even saying that's good or bad. It's just that life is an experience to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, hey, go, and you wouldn't say that either. Life's just going to happen. You're going to have your experience and somebody else is going to have theirs. But I look at all addiction, people that go deep into the addiction, even if they take their life. And I know this may come off weird to some people. It's an experience. And we can still love. And their kids are going to have an experience because of that. You got to think about that too. We get on that whole thing. That's something I'm fired up about is just helping guys with suicide because it's a real thing.
Yeah.
I know you've been there as far as like thinking about it. And lots of guys have, right? But my whole thing, experience life. The frame that we see it through is a lot of times being taught to us as good and bad. And drugs are bad. Alcohol is bad. Well, I don't disagree. They don't serve me. But it's an experience. And now you understand what you don't want.
Yeah.
Somebody else they didn't have that experience. They don't understand that. And that's neither good or bad. But that wasn't their experience.
Yeah.
So you can relate with people that have had that same experience. And I can't. I don't really know that. I can relate with people that have been in porn addictions. And I can relate with people in other experiences that I've had. And I think that's the beautiful thing about life. I think that's how we should look at it. It doesn't need to be a good or bad, in my opinion. I think we're taught that.
Yeah.
I think it's a frame that we're taught that we should look at the world through because we have to have an answer.
Yeah. Always.
You think?
I do. When you're talking about the suicide thing, I used to think that someone that committed suicide, they're being selfish, right? And how could they do that to their family or to their kids or whatever it was? But someone helped me look at it like this, man. They were feeling so much pain. They got to a place that they're so much pain, so much thing that the only thing that made sense to them was to end their life. And understanding that, and then understanding and truly believing that my friends and folks from before that passed on, they're in a better place, has helped me, because I used to, judge them. That's what I'm looking at. I used to judge them, and I was in no place to do that. But I was like, how could they do that? Right. So now it's like, one thing I do know is there's not a thing that you or me or anyone else has gone through or going through that someone else hasn't gone through.
Yeah.
But the problem is most of us hold it in. We hold it in. I'm bad. I don't deserve this. I'm unworthy. I shouldn't be here. And then that festers and it eats us and we make all those bad decisions. We keep making bad decisions rather than, hey, you know what? I have a problem. I've done this. Reach out to someone, start talking to someone, and you'll find that people have done a lot worse than you, but you can recover. You can recover from, I say anything you can, unless if you take your life, you obviously can't, but you can. But you have to take a step and understand, first off, you have a problem, and then have someone talk to people to help you understand how to get through it. And then most importantly, change your life and change your habits and change your environment and what it was that you were doing before to align up with where you want to go. Because me just getting clean, if I left all my contacts in my phone, I didn't change my phone number, which I didn't do many times, people contacted me. They contacted me when I was low, right? Oh, I got this. Perfect. I'll be right over. I don't care if I had a month clean. I got free drugs. I'm on my way over, right? Because I wasn't strong enough. And, in all of that. So that's kind of what I was just thinking when you were talking about that is you never know. And the other thing is you never know where someone is at in life or what they're going through. You know, you talk a lot about this is, you know, just walk around smiling at people, right? And
we don't smile enough.
No, I do this at the gym. I say, hey, you know, like good morning, or, you know, it's just smile at people. And a lot of times there's like this, looking at their phone, or they look down, all of that. But like for me, there's so much to live for right now in life. You know, God left me here for a reason. And do I have things that I go through? Do I get mad? Do I have bills that come, unexpected stuff from my past that come up that stress me out? Yeah. But I've been through a lot of stuff, just like I know you have with your own things. And, you know, I'm able to get through it. I know step by step, and I just have to adapt and overcome whatever it is.
Yeah. But that's what becomes your superpower, right? Mm-hmm. I think the experiences that you have and how you overcome them, you clearly have. And the way that I look at all of it too is like, again, like you look at it, either one of us, and say like, oh yeah, you're clean of that, you're whatever, you're over it, whatever. And I get that point, and I think we clap and we say, you're 5 years sober, you're you know, this many years sober. I think everybody has their own thing, and that can be really healthy and a word for some people. And this is only speaking for me. I kind of let it go in one ear and out the other, because the second I start to think that, it's like the thoughts can come in, well, gosh, I'm doing so good, I hope I never go back.
Let me reward myself.
Yeah, reward myself or something like that. And it's like, instead, I've taken the approach of, I don't really care about any of that. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, that's not the point. None of this matters. It's not that big of a deal. It's not my life anymore. Mm-hmm. And like, I just don't, I think it works for some, maybe. I just don't like it. Because then what happens if you do go back? Because it could happen. What if it's not even saying me or you? I'm just saying somebody in 20 years. What if they get back into it? I think that's where it gets deeper, darker.
Happens all the time. You know,
happens all the time.
You know what typically happens in drugs or alcohol?
I don't.
They typically die, because what happens is they've been sober 20 years.
Okay.
They go back and
this is what I'm talking about.
They do a shot that's too big because of their old tolerances or whatever it is, and they don't make it.
Interesting.
Yeah, just like you're saying, because people that are living life just to stay clean, you know,
right.
So my first year, I'll just say this, my first year in recovery, I was heavily involved in NA, which is Narcotics Anonymous, and AA, Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah, how did you like those?
I liked them.
Okay.
I
never done any.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I liked them for the fact that they were like-minded individuals. Well, people that have experienced kind of what I'd experienced, that I could talk to openly, and I could share my experiences. We played volleyball, we did all these things, right, for my first year. And then after my first year in, let's just say, recovery, living life to just stay clean and stay sober, I started thinking, man, there's so much more to life than just staying sober and not using. Yeah. You know, I want to live life to live life. I'm here to live life on top of that. So my focus went a little bit away from these everyday meetings, all that, to focus in on what I can do to live life and enjoy life. But most importantly, figuring out what I have to do every day to keep myself prepared or educate myself, whatever it is, on not going back there. Because if I give up the gym, my healthy habits, my gym time, if I give up some of these things I like doing and I just start sitting around for me is not good. Like overly, if I was just home.
I think for any guy, by the way.
Yeah. If I was home playing Xbox all the time or whatever it is, for me, I can only speak for myself. It's not good. Yeah. Because eventually what I'm going to want to do is, I know if I get something and take it with playing Xbox, it's going to be that much cooler. And I'm just going to just zone out, right? So for me, I know what I need to do for myself, and I don't think about using. I don't wake up and think, oh man, I should go get some Oxy. I don't think about it. I'm almost 7 years clean, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying, you know, tomorrow or in 10 years from now, something could happen and an Oxy's there and, you know, I'm like, oh, maybe I should take that. That could happen, right? Or those feelings or those emotions or those thoughts could come into my head. But I'm a lot better prepared, my why and why I'm here, to be a good example and a good father and all of that.
Yeah, I like that.
That's why I'm here. So when those things happen, and they will happen, things will come up. My addiction will come up again. It will challenge me, and it will be in probably one of my darkest moments, whenever that is. I don't know, but I'm more prepared now for when that happens. And as I continue to talk and go through my story and get it out, then I'm even more prepared.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I like all of that. And I think part of what we're talking about, and I've never heard anybody really talk about this, but what we're really talking about is it's an identity thing. So the thing that I don't love about focusing too heavy on how long somebody's been clean is now that you take on a new identity, and the longer you go with that new identity, you take on a new character. And why do we take on a new character? My opinion, our ego doesn't like not having a character. We have to be somebody, because that gives us a feeling of, hey, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I associate as this person. If I'm a nobody, then every conversation would be really dumb. People are like, well, what do you do? Nothing. Who are you? I'm a nobody. We don't like that. We want to impress people, and that's our ego. And it's not that it has to be that way. What I'm saying is, we take on that new identity. We had an identity of I'm a drug user. We get out of it. We like this new identity, this new avatar that we've created for ourselves. It's cool. And then if we go back, then it's like, wait, no, I like this other avatar better. I can't go here. And then we freak out. But that freak out brings the shame, brings the guilt, the things that perpetuate it, the things that bring it closer to you, right? Whereas if we can find this space of being okay with being quote unquote a nobody, not having that identity, because by having that identity, we're really kind of putting ourselves in a position where, not that we're setting ourselves up to fail, but potential failure. And it's just like, I'm experiencing life. I'm loving people. I'm going to the gym. I'm choosing these habits. I'm choosing to eat healthy. I'm choosing to associate with people that don't do drugs, that don't drink alcohol, that don't like porn, that take care of their wives, that have kids, that raise them in a good way, that have good morals, and because that's what I'm choosing. I choose that. And it's less of a identity crisis thing.
Yeah.
How many sports people do you know where they are the best in sports, and then all of a sudden they retire, and then they're like, what the crap?
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Michael Phelps is the one that came to my mind, right? Just barely. Do you remember like that whole thing?
Yeah.
Didn't he use? I want to say that he was way deep into it.
I think he was. I don't remember exactly.
Way deep into drugs, I believe. Smoking weed. Oh, smoking weed. Is that what it was? Well, it was during it too.
Yeah, he got pulled as Subway sponsors and everything for it.
Yeah.
Because he posted a picture of him ripping a bong and shit.
Yeah, I think it was even more than that too. But I remember during the Olympics, he was like, there was the bong picture and stuff. Like, once he retired and he had swimming ripped away from him, he went into a dark, depressed state because he lost his avatar. He lost his identity.
Lost his why too.
He lost his why, yeah. But he lost his self that he created for him. He couldn't do that forever. I think that's where sports, like, we have to be careful to not be so involved in sports or something that's terminal.
Yeah.
Because then who are you?
Yeah.
But if you can rip that all away, what I'm saying, rip that all away, who am I really? Well, I am things that are eternal, everlasting. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I'm this guy at work, or I'm a sports player, or I'm a drug user, or I'm clean.
Yeah.
I don't like those identities because they're too fickle. They're too unpredictable.
And it's not, it's not me though either, right? Like I had a guy come up to me at the gym, tatted up, right, from head to toe, tatted, right? Started talking to me. And you would thought, if you looked at both of us, right, that he would be the ex-drug user and I would be the returned missionary, never done anything wrong. He thought that, right? He told me straight up, he's like, oh, I just looked at you as a good little Mormon boy over here working out. And I'm like, no, he's in a band, all this stuff, right? You just never know. And most people that don't know me from before, they would never have known or guess what I've been through, or that I've been. That's 15 years. If you think about 15 years, that's a long time. Out and about, a lot of crazy years, that I forgot a lot of the stuff that I've done. My parents could tell you, or my siblings, or, there's the crazy things, because it's kind of all blurred.
Yeah.
A lot of it is.
Yeah.
Kind of forgot a lot of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, just getting through all that has been nuts.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to give you some shotgun questions here at the end.
Okay.
Well, how are you going to teach your kid?
Right or wrong, you're saying? How am I going to teach him?
With all this stuff we're talking about. How are you going to teach your kid?
So a good question is, you know, like what happens if my son starts using, right?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? So if that happened, I'm going to love him and I'm going to support him the best I can. But the one thing I know, I can't fix him and I can't change him and I can't take away the pain or the addiction or whatever it is he's going through. All I can do is my best to support him and love him, right? Some people say, cut him off, kick him to the curb, kick him out, right? My parents didn't. And I don't know what's right or what's wrong, for every scenario is so different, but I would just set boundaries with my son and you know, at the time and just go through and just be the best to explain, hey, I know what you're going through. I've been there, and just try to provide as much guidance and help that I could.
Love that. For somebody who's currently using or has an addiction that they don't want, what's your advice to them?
So my first thing would be understand and accept the fact that you do have a problem. You know, I was never that addict because I wasn't shooting up. I only shot up one time, and my friend did it for me one time because I was too scared I was going to die. So because of that, it kept me sick because I was snorting my pills or smoking them. I wasn't that sick, right? So first I'll come to the realization that you have a problem, right? And the second thing is reach out to someone, you know, start talking to, you know, people, you see people we have so much with social media nowadays.
Yeah.
Start reaching out, start talking to people. Everyone has problems. We just talked about that with stuff that you go through, right? Everyone's done stuff. Everyone's going through stuff, right? And there's, like I said earlier, there's not a thing out there that you're going through that someone hasn't already gone through or can at least provide guidance. The crazy thing is no one can do the work for you, though.
Yeah.
You have to do the work. So you're going to have to.
And nobody's coming to save you.
No one's coming to save you. No one's going to do the work for you, but people can help provide you guidance and enlightenment on what to do. And the last thing we already talked about is just live life, man. We're here for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer God put me on this earth to enjoy it, right? To experience it, to experience my experiences. And like you talked about, there's no light without the darkness, right? So we are going to have things that come up. Change is going to happen, whatever it is, and just learning to adapt with that. So someone that's struggling, reach out, understand you have a problem. That's the first thing. You know, come to that realization that you have a problem. They tell you in AA, believe in a power greater than yourself that will help restore you to sanity, right? So whether it's God or whether that's Buddha, for me, it's God. And I know for sure without God's help, there's no way I'd be here today. I shouldn't be alive, but there's no way I'd be right here with you talking without his help. And then once you get to the point that you are clean with whatever it is, or, you know, you've gotten some time under your belt, just start enjoying life. And don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't keep it in, whatever it is that you've struggled with. Whatever your addiction is, be open with your wife. Be honest with your family. Be honest with whoever. And if your family doesn't accept that, who cares, man? It's only hurting you to keep it in.
Most spouses, the reason why they really get divorced when they talk about it is because the lack of communication, the lack of trust, the lying. It's not the actual addiction that causes most of the divorces. I think sometimes it does because there's things that are taught that if they do this, then you just divorce them right away. Mm-hmm. But I think that's not the majority. I think it's mostly because the lack of trust. Yeah. So if you communicate,
your spouse knows.
Yeah.
They know you better than you might know yourself in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
They know when you're acting funny, when you're hiding stuff, when you're not disclosing everything. They know that. They know when there's something wrong, whether you're saying it or not. They know when you're lying too. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like a cancer inside, and you're keeping it inside. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting your kids because your kids are seeing you fight with your wife or fight with whoever, and you're ruining that relationship. But if you
this is good. This is good though. Mm-hmm. You're all of this, because what I've learned, and Corinne and I have learned about what you're talking about right now, which is so key. What has been taught does not work, because I was always so scared. Like I would just go relapse, but the whole time I was relapsing, it was like for a straight day, and it would maybe bleed into another day. And it was just like, whenever I could get alone or whatever, it was just like get my fix and then get back to work or whatever for like 24-hour, maybe 48-hour period. And she knew something was going on, and I could tell that she knew that something was going on, and I wanted to talk to her about it, but it was just so awkward, and I felt so much guilt and shame. And I was like, oh, here we go again, and we're going to have this crying session. I'm going to feel so bad and all this stuff. The second, it was just like we could both get to a point where we didn't believe the story that we had to get a divorce, or all the things that they say will happen if you do it. Like we both were on the same page, like, hey, if it happens, she's basically came to me and was like, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me about it. We're good. Like, I'm good. I'm not going to divorce you.
Yeah.
It was like, this weight off my shoulders. Like everything I've been taught since I was 2, like is not true. You're saying. And then for me, it was like, then if I've ever felt tempted, it was just like, hey, like, I'm not feeling good. Like I'm not feeling right. Like we need to connect.
Mm-hmm.
Let's connect. And then for her, it was like, we've already had the conversation. It's not weird and we're good. That I think is the healthy thing that we should teach in all addiction. We're a team. We're there together. It's okay. I'm not going to get mad at you, and we're not going to have this be this big deal. I love you. I want to be with you. Let's make it work.
Yeah. Let's figure it out together.
Let's figure it out. And I do think there's marriages that do that.
Yeah.
I just think there's somewhere in the back of their mind, like, you do it again.
Yeah, you do it again.
I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's the problem.
And then what happens is
they hide it.
They do it again. They do it again, and they hide it, and it's in them, right? And you know it. They know it. There's this. It's just like if you went out and cheated, right? Whether your wife caught you or not, there's emotion. Yeah. There's feelings. They feel something, right? They know something's different. Yeah. They just sense it, right? And
they're bloodhounds.
Yeah.
They can smell that crap a mile away. Yeah, it's true.
So they just know, right? We all know, and you live with them, right? So they know something's different. So if you can get to a point with whatever it is, you can just be honest and just understand that, hey, this is my problem, and they might not accept it. They might leave you. They really might. You never know, right?
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. Is like being okay if that happens.
But you have to,
which is
whether it's marriage or with your family, like, hey, you might not accept this, but this is where I'm at and this is what I'm going through. You're going to grow from that. And if they can't accept it, that's totally fine. Yeah. Getting to that point, right? That whatever happens is meant to happen, but I'm not going to keep holding this in, because if I hold it in, guess what's going to happen to me? Guess where I'm going? I'm going to go get high. Yeah. Why I'm going to get high? Because I don't want to feel this shame anymore. I don't want to feel this guilt. I just don't want to feel it anymore. But guess what happens? It's stuck to me. All that shame, it doesn't go away. I just numb it for a minute. Then my problem gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And then before long, guess where I'm at? That deep, dark, black hole.
Right. It just throws you down there.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with the worst case scenario. And it's like, we don't want to talk about divorce.
No.
But that's what you're scared of, right? Or we don't want to talk about dying or suicide. We don't. It's taboo. But you have to somewhat be like, accept everything, every fear that you're scared of. Like if you're not afraid to die, if you're not afraid of a divorce, if you're not afraid of these things, I think a lot of people go, well, then you're just going to cause it. Like that's not healthy. Mm-hmm. So, it's actually a great place to be. I think everybody in their natural state without fear of those things, they would never choose that.
Yeah.
I think we're all whole and complete. I think we're great as our whole true authentic self. Mm-hmm. I think we're actually putting on a hat and a mask trying to be something that we're not when we're trying to resist a lot of these things. Mm-hmm. And that's what messes up our mind. If we just can accept the fact, oh, if that happens, it happens. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to live like you're saying, just work on it. Be honest, be authentic, get it out, work on it. How can you go wrong?
Yeah. I mean, if you're constantly, it's a constant problem, then yeah, marriage probably won't work. Things will happen, right? But if you're sincere about it, and first off, you let them know I have a problem. Right? Yeah, that's the hardest thing. And for us guys, what happens typically? We're the number one, the highest suicide rate is guys, right? By far, right? Because can't show emotion, you can't cry, I can't call you, Eric, and say, bro, I'm struggling.
You
can't do that, right? But the problem is we're dying as men. A lot of us are dying and never giving ourselves a chance, when all we had to do is just reach out to our buddy and say, bro, I'm struggling, man. You know, whatever it is. And just getting that. Women, they don't have the issue because they go talk and they do other things,
girls'
right?
nights and girls' trips.
Yeah,
and
all that. But we're
all
taught
that.
to keep our emotions in and keep it here and not show that emotion and that everything's okay. But all that's doing is eliminating a lot of good dudes out there, hardworking dudes that maybe aren't even hooked on drugs.
Yeah.
But they have bad things that are happening around them and they don't know how else to do it but to end their life.
Yeah. No, it's so true. All good stuff, man. I hope that people reach out, you know, because of this. And if they want to find you, are you open to that? And where would they find you?
Right now, just Greg Ence on Instagram. I'm working on my YouTube. I've been on other podcasts, and that's kind of where I want to go. I want to get my story out. I want to, you know, be on a podcast, on my own podcast and all of that. But right now it's just Greg Ence. You know,
yeah, it's good. We need it right now, Greg, because there's so many people that struggle with things, and you can relate just because, you know, they did a different drug or they have a different addiction or whatever. It's somewhat universal in a lot of the guilt and shame and where you go and how it takes you out of reality and all that stuff, dopamine, chemicals in the brain, and all of that stuff is so relatable. And we all struggle with it.
Yeah.
We all struggle with it. And I think a lot of these things men struggle with in Utah a little bit more than women. Women have their own things. Not that they don't struggle with some of these things. And I'm not saying it's not okay if they do. If a girl struggles with porn, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're not weird. Like, and the way that I look at guys that struggle with porn, good. I mean, I'm glad you like naked women. Like, it's good. You know, it's good. You're wired that way.
Yeah. It's
just, hey, does it serve you?
Yeah.
And when you start putting all that energy into your wife, think about how that relationship grows. And I think that's just, it's a healthier way.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that need these conversations. So guys, I hope you reach out to Greg. If you have something, if you're struggling with anything, I started this. Greg is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Social media is where you would just, everything was positive. Everything was like, dude, you're crushing it. You're great. And I was like, I just like this guy. And I didn't know I knew a lot of, I didn't know I knew your parents and how you related and your whole family at the time. But this is a guy I promise will not judge you for reaching out.
No,
at all.
There's not a thing like that someone could say to me that I'm going to judge him for. Honestly, it's like, and my biggest thing is like, look, you did bad. You're not bad.
Yeah, I like that.
Because I always took it like I am bad. And because I felt like I was a problem instead of I did something that was wrong.
Yeah.
It kept me sick for many years.
Yeah.
And now, you know, I can accept that I made a lot of bad mistakes, a lot of bad things, but now I'm able to channel it into, I made bad mistakes, but look at the lessons. What is the feedback, right? What is it that I've learned?
Right.
And, you know, it's unfortunately I had to go through all that stuff. Like I did a lot of bad things, but it's fortunate for me that it's built me and created me and put me into the space I'm at right now and built me stronger for what's to come. Cause, you know, I'm optimistic, you know what I mean? And hopeful, but you know, I'm a big believer in God and Satan too. And Satan's coming, man, at some point, right? With his armies, and they're always there. Right. So I want to continue to build myself up and be as strong as I can so that I can be a strong rock for my family and for those around me that I love, and just be an example. And just like you said, just be able to sit down and talk to someone. You know, I don't have any problems doing that. So I'm open. I'm an open book, really. You could ask me anything on this podcast and I'd tell you anything. It doesn't, that stuff, like to me, I'm like, great. Like, here it is. You want to know this? Great. Here it is. You want to know that? It doesn't matter, man. I did a lot of bad shit, you know, but I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know that I did all those bad things, you would never know that about me.
Yeah. I love that. Dude, I appreciate you being open on the podcast.
Yeah.
I think you're going to help a lot of people. I know you're going to help a lot of people. And I think that there's a lot of people listening to this right now that are getting a lot of value out of it. So I appreciate you being vocal about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of people that stay in their AA meetings. That's where they get it. But social media, in my opinion, is one of the most powerful ways to vibe out your vibe so that you can attract your tribe and help a lot of people. So
yeah,
Hope you get on 1 million podcasts this year to be able to help people.
I appreciate it.
Guys, thanks again. Thanks for your support. Thanks for sharing reels. Thanks for all of your reviews. Thanks for, pushing this podcast so we can get it in front of a lot of people. I love seeing us grow, and grateful for all the guests that have been on and for all the people that follow every single week. If you feel like this gave you value, go push it to your friends. People are struggling. Send it to them. Have them connect with Greg. Have them reach out. Happy to talk to anybody. I'm happy to talk to anybody, especially if it's pornography related. Happy to talk to them. We'll see you in the next episode, guys. Always appreciate you. Peace.